Today, we're gonna go over the wins and fails in this week in marketing and business. What's going on in the last week? And let's get my first official win. I'm giving a win to the concept of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Because I want to tell a story that I told some of you yesterday about the app TBH, where you could anonymously give compliments to your fellow teens. If you were a teen. If you are older than a teen, you shouldn't be on this app. If you were in 10th grade, you could vote on who had the best smile. Maybe it was Chad Simmons. Facebook saw this app growing like crazy and they said, holy shit, we want that. So they bought it and they said, we're gonna let it run. Unfortunately, they couldn't really figure out how to make it work or monetize, so they shut it down almost immediately. No big deal, because immediately after that, the founder of this app, Nikita Beer, started an app called Gas, which you might take a look at and realize it's the exact same app. And you know what happened? Is it was immediately acquired by Discord. He sold the same app twice. And then, following this announcement that he just sold it, I have an idea for an app. One of the most Giga Chad founder stories I've ever seen. Because the app is really simple. Technically, any of these companies could make it, but for some reason, he keeps making it and keeps selling it. So I want to give him a dub. But speaking of acquisitions that didn't go so well, I want to talk about an app called Frank. Some of you, maybe when you were applying for FAFSA loans, maybe even used Frank or heard about Frank. Frank was a website that made it easier for students to figure out financial aid. Eventually, it got enough users. It was growing pretty fast. You know, a lot of people were using it. And so JP Morgan Chase came in, the big commercial bank, and offered to buy Frank. And people were thinking, well, why do you really want Frank? What's the benefit of Frank, JP Morgan Chase? And it turns out the idea was this. JP Morgan Chase wanted to start building a relationship with people so that they would eventually become customers of JP Morgan Chase. It was like, before you figured out where your credit card comes from and where your bank account is, and before you've chosen all the financial things in your life, because people don't switch very often. Once you've picked a bank you like, you're kind of stuck with it. It served more than 5 million students since it was launched by Charlie Javis in 2017. I mean, if you think about what they bought it for, it's just a bunch of people. Like, they have a bunch of students and they're gonna market to them JP Morgan Chase. So basically, they bought a very, very expensive mailing list of kids' emails to try and get them, all right? And the first thing they do is make a whole bunch of marketing material promoting JP Morgan Chase, and they send it to all of these kids. They make a list of 400,000 Frank customers, and they send them an email saying, hey, check us out, JP Morgan Chase. And then immediately they notice something's wrong because when they send to those 400,000 people, they get an open rate of 0. 0.0125. Only 124 students out of 400,000 emails actually even open it. It's the lowest they've ever had on any marketing ever. Nobody has ever had email marketing that low. And then they start investigating and they look into it and they start to realize, wait a minute, a lot of these are getting bounce backs. In fact, a lot of these emails aren't even real. In fact, a lot of these people aren't even real. And they realize that in fact, Frank created a ton of fake users. It created almost 5 million fake customers and then sold themselves to JP Morgan Chase. The entire thing was a scam. Charlie Javis basically had a very small amount of customers and he paid a programmer to create lookalike customers. Is that legal? No. So JP Morgan Chase is now suing the founder. Except the founder is suing them back. Saying, nuh-uh, I didn't scam you, nuh-uh. It's a really hilarious back and forth. You know, while I do think this person is a scammer and it probably shouldn't win this case, I think it's very funny that JP Morgan Chase's idea of due diligence was like, do you have a list of these people? Okay, it looks good to me. Like this person is not even an accomplished scammer. I want to give a win to the concept of playing the long game. When it comes to the internet, a lot of people are in it for short-term money. I think those that play the long game will do best, which is why I want to give an actual honest-to-God, heartfelt, awesome win to DeHonest Colin, who was the Popeyes meme kid, who now, like a decade later, is now a freshman offensive lineman and has a NIL deal with Popeyes. Popeyes literally signed him to I think it's the name, image, likeness deal. So literally, he is going to be a spokesperson for Popeyes, is making bank as an accomplished high school football player, or I'm sorry, college football player now. And all because of his original Popeyes meme, dude.
Popeye, ooh. Say ooh.
This one moment is now gonna make him a ton of money, like 10 years later. Apparently he's also like really good at football. State champ, so, you know, good shit. congrats to him. Ended up with a fun end of the story. The next win is this is actually just a fail, dude. I was gonna do an ironic win. I looked into the WWE story because there's a lot going on with WWE, and I wanted to know what the hell is actually happening. Because people were telling me the Saudis were gonna buy it. I wanted to see what's happening. Here's what happened. Let me explain it to you rather simply. Vince McMahon, this guy on the right, owned WWE. He's the chief shareholder. He owned a vast majority of it, and he was CEO. Then some news came out that he had like $12 million of payments to women over 4 years to cover up sexual harassment. Hush money payments to 4 women over 16 years. All right. So after that came out, the board, which is the group of people that make the decision for the company, they unanimously voted to kick him off the board. Remove him as CEO, kick him off the board. A few months pass, and Vince McMahon kind of realizes, hey, I'm still the owner. I'm still the majority shareholder. Like I have the most votes. I have all the power here. So he goes and he sends an email to the board of directors. He's like, hey, you know what? I think I've learned my lesson. I think it's time for me to come back as CEO. And the board goes, no, we don't think so. We think it'd be bad for the company. I think you should just stay where you are. And he goes, well, I really think you should reconsider. And they reconsider and go, no, I think you can stay out. Then he goes, okay, well, you're fired. And then Vince McMahon fired basically everyone on the board because he has that power because he's the majority owner. So even though they knew this, they knowingly knew he could fire them and still said, don't come back, it's bad. He fired them. And so he replaced the board with a bunch of people that are more friendly to him and came back as CEO. He wants to sell WWE. And WWE is a very valuable property, has a ton of viewers. It's extremely loyal and engaged audience, and they can sell for quite a bit. And so they're looking for a buyer. And there are a number of buyers. Saudi Arabia's Foreign Wealth Fund was listed to be one. Disney at one point was listed to be one. Amazon listed to be one. But the leader right now is mega agency Endeavor, which also owns the UFC. So I wanted to give an insane, I don't know whether it's a win or fail, but something to Vince McMahon for literally having an email conversation with people where he didn't really want them to answer. He just sort of wanted them to do what he said and ended up firing him to do that. I also want to give an honest to God win. Farmers, especially in America, basically have no other choice for a lot of farming equipment than John Deere. John Deere has a monopoly. And if you buy a piece of farming equipment and it breaks down in any way, if anything breaks, you are legally not allowed to get it repaired anywhere else. John Deere has installed software that locks up the machine and you can only get it repaired through John Deere expensively. Very recently, US farmers have won the right to repair John Deere equipment. Right to repair has gone through. This is awesome. Like just something simple that breaks, they can just get it fixed for cheap themselves. They can get a local mechanic to fix it, no problem. Instead of having to go through John Deere, pay a fuck ton of money. That's awesome. This is an awesome piece of regulation that I'm actually really happy with. Right to repair. Give it a huge dub. Hope it continues. How is that allowed to happen? Bro, do you understand what we live in? It was happened because they had money, dude, and they had a monopoly and there's no competition. Any hootie, that's a win. I'm very happy about that. Here's a fail. The fail is not enough people in this chat or anywhere else are paying enough attention to marketing. The marketers are hard at work on all these fucking ads, and a lot of you are tuning out. A lot of you, the ad comes on and you, honest to God, some people don't even watch the whole ad through. They fucking take out their phone or they go get a snack. Thank God for the engineering geniuses at Sony, because they have a patent. This is real. This is a real Sony patent that would force viewers to exclaim the brand name during commercials in order to end them. You would need to say McDonald's out loud in order to end the commercial. Ideally, in their example, they would have you stand up and cheer. Which brings me to my next win. Rocket Money. Rocket Money! I want to shout out Rocket Money, a longtime supporter of Marketing Monday. You can go to rocketmoney.com/Atrioc and check out the app, which allows you to track and see every subscription you are spending money on. It's very easy to see and then cancel subscription. You basically just connect your bank account and it shows you everything you subscribe to. And I use it all the time for canceling news services because I often sign up for things to read one article and then forget to cancel. But you can see all of your different recurring bills and see which ones you want to cancel, and they'll do it there for you. If you want to go one step beyond, there is a paid version where they will like negotiate down bills, things like cable bills, electricity, etc. They will literally negotiate it down. Which is awesome. Thanks to Rocket Money, rocketmoney.com/Atrioc. Please check it out in the link in the description below. We've been doing wins, but it's time to give a fail, bro. I gotta give a fail to regular human lawyers. Regular human lawyers are fucking dead, dude, because now we have AI-powered robot lawyers, which are essentially, my understanding is essentially just ChatGPT in some form or another. They are going to have an AI lawyer, which is going to be a human with an earpiece that is going to fight a traffic ticket in court next month. Basically, it's going to literally have an encyclopedic knowledge of the entire law, like every law, and then just have perfect responses ready to go with natural language processing to just say why this is or isn't a violation of the law. It's interesting. This will be a monumental case. I mean, this is going to be one of those things they put in the documentary when they flash back in 10 years about the rise of AI. We're going to see what this exactly means because, again, there's already examples of AI outperforming doctors at certain things. It'll be interesting to see if AI can outperform lawyers at, knowledge of the law. Can they literally, with instant recall of everything, be more accurate at fighting for a defendant's best interests? We're going to find out. This will be a fun case to watch. Someone in chat has mentioned another big win that I've actually found to be one of the most interesting AI developments that I've seen early on is there is an AI extension that automatically reads terms and conditions that you're about to sign, and it'll just highlight or tell you in simple language anything that might be weird or different about it, which is awesome, which is really awesome because nobody wants to read those. Nobody ever reads those. And an AI that can parse the whole thing in a second and tell you like if there's anything weird about it is great. That's actually a useful, totally good developments of AI. And I do believe more are coming. I think there's an interesting application. So we'll see how this works for a lawyer. Our current system actually is pretty not great for a lot of poor people who cannot get a competent lawyer. And so if this got better, good enough, this could be pretty powerful, but we'll see. And now with enough wins and fails behind us, I'd like to get to a segment that we've long forgot. Feels like forever since we've heard the iconic two words.
我在北京
What's up, Beijing? What's going on, Xi Jinping? What's going on in China? Last we covered it, there was all sorts of chaos, all sorts of disaster. They had just opened up their long-running COVID-0 policy. They just abandoned it one day. They got a couple protests, couple riots, and said, all right, fuck it, it's over. And they just cut the whole thing. And then they had overworked hospitals. They've got mass infections, hundreds of millions of people infected, selling out of every antiviral drug. Well, I'd like to bring up a certain guy. Do you remember this guy? This guy with a guy who was so afraid to say anything bad about COVID-0 that he paused for like a full minute. Just a massively long pause, then said, can you repeat the question? Then paused for another minute and a half. This guy just got fired. He has been moved to an obscure, quote, obscure role. The reason is basically he was a rising star. He was given a lot of public airtime. He was considered like to be one of the future faces of the party. And instantly he's been removed. And it's all part of China's plan, China's abrupt about-face plan right now to regain friends. China's plan to reset China's economy and win back friends. Basically, Xi Jinping and the leaders of Communist China have realized that, oh shit, we kind of pissed off too many people at once. It's okay if we piss off just America, but because they showed open support for Vladimir Putin in the war in Ukraine, they actually pissed off a lot of countries, namely a ton of countries in Europe who all have, trade balances with China. And they don't really want to keep up that with having only Russia as their friend and a ton of countries as their enemy. So they're on a big plan to regain friends. It's trying very hard to reach out to EU and key European nations like Germany, France, Italy, and Spain, as well as Asian allies of America like Japan and South Korea. In fact, even Australia, which has a really negative view of China, but now it's like trying to become friends again. China lifted its coal ban on Australian coal, which was a really big pain point because basically Australia buys a ton of stuff from China, and China was buying coal but then stopped because Australia was saying some things about China. And so now they removed the ban to try and rebuild their friendship. From our perspective, some of this sounds like it's probably not going to work, but some of it is working because China has such enormous balances of trade. The fact remains, like a lot of countries do way more business with China than they do with the United States. France is one of the biggest proponents on the EU side of staying within China's good graces. France, Macron, the leader, has been openly saying that he doesn't support decoupling and wants to maintain good relations with China. In fact, China is like basically about facing on a lot of things they were holding firm on until recently. I think in a sense of they're having so many domestic issues right now, they're trying not to have international issues as well. And they're basically just changing a lot of things they thought they were stronger enough to can hold. But that is the update on China and on this week in marketing and business. Tune in next week for more wins and fails. Thanks for watching.
Check it.